Welcome to Seahawks Today, where we are going to break down the first week of the regular season. This is week one, Seahawks versus the Colts. I am so excited. Football is finally back. We've got some real games to watch here. Take a look at this spread that we've got going on. This game's going to be on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be in Indy right now. The Seahawks are favored 2.5. The over-under is set at 48.5, which seems a little bit high. But if you think about it, last year the Colts were averaging about 28.7 points per game, which was 8th in the league. The Colts just being right behind them at 9th, averaging 28.2 points per game. So it makes a little bit of sense why this over-under is a little bit higher than you may think. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Predict the score. What is it going to be this Sunday? I'll give you guys my prediction at the end of this video, but I want to hear what yours is. These two teams are coming off of playoff 2020 seasons. So there's a lot at stake here. The Colts went 11-5. They lost to the Bills in wild card weekend. The Seahawks went 12-4 and lost to the Rams in wild card weekend. So they're both kind of in this same position. Now, there's been a lot of change and a lot of drama happening this offseason for both teams. So let's jump right into the offseason QB drama, starting with Russell Wilson. So we all can remember that there were reports that Wilson wanted to be traded during the offseason. And I think the biggest report was that the Bears were willing to trade 3 first-round picks, a third rounder, and 2 starters. And this to me was a little bit of a dramatic trade offer, but Wilson clearly stated that he wanted some change in the O-line room. He got that. He got some new additions up there. So Wilson ultimately is with the Seahawks, excited to have him back. On the other side of things, there was the drama going on in a different QB room with the Colts getting Carson Wentz after Phillip Rivers officially retires. Now, his drama started with the foot injury that sidelined him for weeks, missing essentially all of training camp, missing preseason games. Finally, he recovers, and then he gets put on the COVID-19 list for close contact, and there's been drama there with the vaccination status and everything going on with him. But he was a full participant in today's practice. He hasn't had his first snap yet with the Colts in a game, so it's kind of crazy to think that the first time we'll see it is during a regular season game this week one. But in 2020, it didn't go as great for Wentz as he might have hoped. He had a completion percentage of 57.4, 2,620 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Not necessarily the most ideal situation for Wentz, and he was let go by the Philadelphia Eagles. Colts pick him up, and now we'll see if he has improved at all. Either way, we are going to be giving you guys Seahawks updates all season long. We just want you guys to subscribe to this channel, turn on your notifications. We don't want you to miss any Seahawks news. Let's break down, though, this game, and let me give you a couple reasons why I think that the Seahawks are going to win. The first one being the most obvious with Russell Wilson, probably the most dominant player, I think, in the NFL maybe. He's got a completion percentage of 69.7. This was 2020. Yards, 4,212, 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and a QB rating of 73.5. So if you're going to compare Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson, it's going to be a dramatic difference. Obviously, Russell has just proven to be a much better quarterback. So if we're going to just say who has the upper hand in the quarterback room in this game, it's obviously Russell Wilson. But what do you guys think? Who's going to have more yards in this first week one game? Is it going to be Russell Wilson? If so, type RW. And if you think it's going to be Carson Wentz and you're going to take the underdog, type CW. Another reason why I think that the Seahawks are going to win this game is their wide receiver room. Now, we've talked a lot in recent videos about the Seahawks acquiring some of the new guys, but we can't forget to talk about the main guys that make this team so great. One being obviously DK Metcalf, who's I think probably one of the top receivers, obviously, in the league. He had 83 receptions, 1,303 yards, an average of 15.7 and 10 touchdowns. And he's got a good friend next to him. Tyler Lockett is a great guy to have as your number two. I think the DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett duo is probably one of the strongest in the NFL. Tyler Lockett had 58 receptions, 681 yards, an average of 11.7 and 7 touchdowns. And this is a good group to have on in your wide receiver room, but also you have to remember the Colts do have a pretty dominant defense. So yes, I do think the Seahawks have the upper hand here, but the Colts DB room is looking pretty good. The only problem that I see is that Xavier Rhodes may not be able to play week 1. We're not sure exactly, but we do know that they have a pretty strong defensive group. Now, I don't want you guys to miss any videos, so please, again, go and click your notifications on just so you can have every update possible as the season continues. Next up, I'm going to get into some of the reasons that I think the Seahawks might struggle this first week. That is going to be the Colts O-line. They're arguably one of the best in the NFL. Granted, we may not see Quentin Nelson here. We just found out that center Ryan Kelly should be back, which is going to be helpful for the Colts O-line. And I think that normally they are pretty dominant, but it sounds like they're going to have to put this third string guy in at left tackle, which might kind of not give them as much of the advantage as you would like. Let's take a peek on the other side of things, though, with the Seahawks defensive line. Obviously, we've got a great lineup here with Carlos Dunlap. I think bringing him back was just is going to have an amazing impact like it did at the end of last season when they brought him back. I'm excited to see, what he can provide on that line. But what is your biggest concern entering week 1? Go to the comments below right now and let me know. To me, I'd say the biggest concern is being able to stop the O-line. Now, I know, like I said, Carlos Dunlap coming back is a great addition, but I think that's going to be the hardest part for Seattle. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. There also could be some problems on defense. The Seahawks gave up an average of 21.6 points per game at home and 25.9 points per game on the road. That's not ideal. With a team that obviously can put up a lot of points, you can sometimes come out okay with that, but you don't want to have to put that much pressure on your offense. Seattle had a hard time of putting pressure on the QBs last year, so I'm hoping that we can see some improvement there. And bringing back, like I said, Carlos Dunlap, I think that'll help them out. One more area the Seahawks are going to have to watch out for is Jonathan Taylor, who has been probably, I think, a top 5 running back in the NFL already, just having one season in the books with 39 yards, 232 carries, 11 touchdowns, and an average of 5.9. I think that he is going to, 5.9 carries, 39 carries. That's getting the graphics are all kind of confused up here today. But we are going to see a lot out of Jonathan Taylor, just like we did last year. So it's really going to come down to, can the Seahawks stop the run game and force the Colts to win just by the passing game? If they can do this, then they have a higher chance of winning. But if you're going to let Jonathan Taylor just run through everyone, then it's going to be hard to get as many points as the Colts. Give me right now your predictions on turnovers, because in 2020, the Seahawks had a lot of issues here. They had 13 interceptions, 5 fumbles, and a turnover ratio of +4, which don't be alarmed by that because it kind of is misleading to me. I think that if you remember correctly, back in 2020, they struggled a lot at the beginning of the season, not getting as many forced fumbles as they would have liked. And then also we saw later in the season, Russell was throwing a lot of interceptions. And sometimes games just come down to who can win the turnover battle. I think this is going to be a really important factor in the Seahawks having success in this first week. Now I told you guys to predict the score. It's time for me to tell you guys my prediction. I think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game. I think it's going to be Seahawks 31, Colts 21. Let me know if you guys agree with this, and we'll keep you updated on all things Seahawks.